Hello and welcome to Hobby Vlog number 135. This week's been back to a little bit more motivation for me, feeling like my mojo is coming back. And I've gone back to one very old project which I'm really pleased to be getting back to, the lake, which old viewers will remember, I'm sure. So yeah, I'm back to pouring resin on that, and I'm really hoping to push on and finish it if I've got enough resin, which if I haven't, then yeah, who knows, I might just stop because it's sunk so many hundreds of pounds already, literally, of resin into it. Other than that, a few other projects going on, getting close to completing the sawmill and cracking on with some other bits and pieces. But if you want to know, then watch the rest of this video and I will thank you for that. Really hope you enjoy it. Let me know in the comments below. Do read them all and I do reply to them all, so don't be shy. This coming Tuesday, got a battle report coming out for Battle Games of Middle Earth, the first Tuesday in June. Where is the year going to? So look out for that as well. And yeah, in the meantime, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching and I'll see you again at the end. Well, I made it yesterday, a long drive. The sat-nav tried to take me to Serbia, but I did make it and arrived, had a really nice chat with Steve and his missus last night. You can see here, here's the table we're going to be playing on. These are all 3D printed. I managed to get Steve into printing and he's done a fantastic job printing out a load of miniatures and painted them up beautifully. So I'm probably not going to film very much. I might take some pictures and put them on the screen if I remember to. Mainly this is about me and Steve having a laugh, but I did want to do just a quick to camera and show you the table. It's fantastic. He's made a load of these terrain tiles. They're absolutely wonderful. He's a big fan of Luke, Geek Gaming, Luke's APS. I learned a lot of techniques from Luke. He was saying last night, so yeah, really cool looking terrain, and I'm really looking forward to probably getting beaten quite badly actually later on today. But I've got a cup of tea, so I'm going to chill out with that now. It's quite early, and wait for Steve to appear, and then we're going to start throwing some dice. So here we are. It's actually quite late now. It's the end of the day. Been out for a meal, a nice natter, but I thought I'd do a quick wrap up of the game, because we had a lot of fun. So I started off playing against Steve, and then one of his mates, Alan, came over, and Steve went to do umpiring and let me and Alan play, which was a lot of fun. And I ended up managing to win the game, which is very unusual. I don't win many games, but it was a really good game, and it actually could have gone both ways many times. It swung backwards and forwards. There was one point where over here you can see my cavalry. They helped me win the game by running away, because I got bogged down over by this river, and if I had not, I was very lucky. There was one turn where I backed away and I ended up being about 0.2 of an inch out of range, and that was enough to allow me to disengage, stop losing troops, stop the bleed, take a lot of the damage off, rally them, and I didn't lose any more of these troops. And if I'd have been wiped out on this flanker, there would have been enough for me to lose the game. But you can see that there's quite a lot of his troops here. I didn't cause any damage at all really on this side. It was all about survival. I've got my skirmishers that I hid in this forested area. They didn't do very much for me apart from distract and just kind of pin down troops that would have been useful elsewhere, because what happened was, in the end, this was going very badly for me. I thought I'd lost it. I clean thought I'd lost it until that 9.2 inch thing where I was just out of range and I was able to disengage. I then worked out that what I needed to do with the cavalry was run away and what I needed to do with these troops, these are actually, you know, basically foot troops that are going to shoot and shoot and shoot, was line them up and slowly grind forwards. And I slowly ground forwards and managed to wipe out enough troops on this side to end up taking the game. I managed to kill enough of his troops that I halved him before he halved me, but it was very close actually, and a lot of fun. We had a good laugh. Steve is still tweaking with his kind of house rules to get it absolutely perfect, and we've come up with a lot of ideas during this game that will do it. But I can tell you that it was a lot of fun to play, so I recommend that, the rule set. These are all the troops of his that I killed, and all the troops of mine that were killed are over there. So it was a very bloody game. It was really balanced, and there were a couple of times, I mean, I definitely could have lost this. I'm pretty amazed that I won it. But yeah, had a really nice time. It's very good to get some good solid gaming, and I think we were playing for about 6 hours in total. And it was just, that sounds horrible maybe, but it was brilliant because we were able to stop, we took our time, we didn't rush. We stopped to have a sit down and a chat and a cup of tea, and then went back to the table. It was just a really, really nice, relaxing, fun time. And I'm not just saying I enjoyed it because I won, because actually it was just fun because it swung so many times and I could have lost. And it's nice to have a fun game where everyone's laughing, and that's what matters to me. So yeah, it was really good. And of course, these miniatures are beautifully painted. He's done a very, very nice job on them. These ones are actually 3D printed. I've helped him get into 3D printing, and now he's printing all of his stuff and painting them up, and they look beautiful. So yeah, there we are. That's the wrap up. Tomorrow I'm probably going to play a game of Airflix with him, and then head home. I don't know that I'll film again tomorrow because, well, if it's a good game I might. But Airflix you've seen, I think. But yeah, great fun. Really good fun to play. And I've had a really nice weekend so far. So that's going to wrap up that part of this part of the vlog while I'm away on my little gaming weekend. Right, now time to get back to this. I've been away from it for a few days. So the next thing I'm going to do, come along with some black paint. Very, very quick this is going to be, and paint the banks. Because the banks, if they're going to match up with my other river sections, need to be dry brushed, painted black and then dry brushed grey. Which probably isn't what I'd do if I were to start this again, but I am going to continue with it because I don't want to have something looking too jarring. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So it's not going to take very long. Once I have painted these, I will come along and do my dry brushing, and I will of course turn the camera on and show you what that looks like. So yeah, it shouldn't take too long to do this, just along the edge of the banks. And then we'll get to the dry brushing. The time has come to open this box and start getting it ready for playing. I was hoping to play with Angela this week, but probably not going to get a game. If we do, it'll probably be a short game rather than actually a board game. And also, as part of the Wild West Discord group that I'm part of, which I might have a link in the description below, and if I don't, I'll try to remember to add it. We do a little friendly painting challenge. It's only friendly. And the painting challenge this month is to paint up a warband. And me being me, thought, you know what, I'm going to paint up 4 warbands. I'm going to paint up all the miniatures for this, for High Noon. So we have 5 in this warband. Again, it's a while since I've even looked at this, so I can't really remember the details. So I apologise straight away for not knowing the names. Having said that, I can see they're written here. I apologise for not knowing that before. We have the Leroy Gang. We have Elsu's warband, which is these 3. We have Sheriff Garrett, which is these 2 green ones here. And then we've got Colonel Rogers, which is the dark blue ones that you can't really see here. So I'll just lift that up so you can see where they are. So those are the miniatures. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a relatively basic paint job on them. That's generally how I go. I'm not a fantastic painter, but I will try to use this as an opportunity to show how basic paint jobs can be done and look okay. I'm not putting down my results. I'm happy with what I get done. I'm just not a great painter. And if I'm not a great painter and can do something that looks as, not good enough on the table, then maybe that'll be inspiring and help you guys. So yeah, so the first thing that I would suggest that you do when you get in a new miniature, and that is any new miniature, whether it's in a board game or whether it's from Games Workshop or a more established company like that, is wash it. So let's get over to the sink and I'll show you how I go about doing that and explain why. I think the only reason I filmed these segments is because it forced me to wash my sink and I've just scrubbed and scrubbed it. Anyway, so what we've got here is we've got some normal washing up liquid. It's not special stuff, it's actually just the cheapest stuff you can buy. So put a swizz of that into a container and then get some hot water, make sure that's hot. Yep, and drop that into the container as well. And then get your miniatures and drop them in. Okay, there we are. So you can leave them to soak for a little while if you want to. I normally do, and I probably will do as well, but I'm just doing this to show you how I work it. Then after maybe 3 or 4 minutes, something like that, what you're going to do, you're going to come along with an old toothbrush. This is just a toothbrush which has been retired and would have been thrown away, more recycling, and literally scrub the miniature, and you can get a nice little bit of froth like you're doing the washing up, and that will clean the miniature. Now the reason we're doing this is mold release agent is designed to prevent things sticking to your miniatures. So just rinse it in hot water, and I'll leave that to air dry. So I'll just put that onto a side there. But yeah, mold release agent is designed to prevent things sticking to the miniatures. The mold, prevent it sticking to the plastic. And so what it does is it prevents any paint, no matter what paint you use, whatever primer, it'll prevent it from actually adhering to the miniature. So 9 times out of 10 this is probably not actually needed, because maybe there's not enough mold release on the miniature to actually cause a problem. But that 1 in 10 time when it is needed is the most frustrating thing in the world, because it's not always the primer that comes off. Sometimes the primer looks like it sticks, and then you come to paint the colours and then everything falls off and you have to go back and start again and do the wash anyway. So I will always wash every miniature I paint like this. So I'll get all of these miniatures washed and they will dry just naturally in the air, and then tomorrow I'll come to priming and I'll show you what I do with that. So there is actually a step I do before priming, which I forgot about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick these down to tongue depressors. You can see these have been used a few times. The reason I do this is if you're going to be painting these, and you're going to be painting the base as well, which I am on this, what you need to think about is how you're going to hold it. So with a little dip of just 1 dot of super glue in the centre, and set that down on the tongue depressor, and when that dries you'll be able to move that around, paint it and what have you, and you'll be able to prime and paint the base and everything without touching it. So I'm going to set all of the rest of these onto a tongue depressor now, glue it down, let that go off, and then very shortly, a bit later on today, I will actually get to priming. So we're going to come to priming. So what you can see here is I've got a couple of things in front of me. I've got a small glass pot, and this is what I decant my primer into. I always use the surface primer from Vallejo. Now it is technically a airbrush primer, but I brush paint it on, and I've got in the habit of using this brush, which is a big soft brush, which really helps me get quite a good little bit of of coverage. So give your primer a good shake. Always give it a good shake, because it does separate, particularly if you're not painting very often, which I'm not primering very often. And then what I do, like I say, is I just keep this topped up with primer, just to make it easier to access, basically, because inside that pot it's not very easy to get to. Just out of shot, I've got a thing of water, and I'm only going to do 1 of these on camera, and I'll paint the rest of them off. So just get your brush a little bit wet, and then I just had to pause to sneeze. And then get a little bit of the primer on your brush and paint it on. And it is as simple as that. And you can see with a nice big brush, big soft brush, you can get good coverage really quickly, and you only need to paint it on thin. You don't need to put lots and lots on. Don't slap it on, because otherwise you will obscure the details. But that's about right. So I'll do the other side just so you can see. So just a little bit of paint, don't need much, but not too much, and then just paint it on like that. And that's it. And that's why I did used to use a smaller brush for priming, but because this has worked out so well, it was almost accidental that I found to use this brush. It works so well that now it's the only one I use for priming. So there we are, it's just a cheap brush from the supermarket. So that is as primed as ever I do. I will let that to dry and then bring it back for the next step, which is going to be putting the base coat on. So, and I'll finish priming all the rest of them. So there we are, done. Well, it's been another delivery day today, and I've not looked in this yet, I've just opened it. So let's see what this is. This is, oh, hey, my Easterling dice. This is Games Workshop. the Easterlings dice set. I actually have 2 of these coming. We have Lake Town Captains. We have Warg Marauder. I actually can't remember what I ordered, like I say. And we have Warriors of Dale. And that lot was near enough 100 quid. Just terrifying, isn't it, how much this costs. Games Workshop's prices have gone absolutely through the roof, and they've gone a bit nuts. So yeah, so we've got some Warriors of Dale, the Warg Marauder, Late Time Captain, and the Middle-earth Easterlings dice. I also have the book, some more dice, and an order from Forgeworld on its way. It was time for another Forgeworld order. But yeah, that doesn't look like 100 quid's worth of stuff, does it? Goodness me. Yeah, you can understand why people are stopping to buy Games Workshop. It's just crazy. So the Warg Marauder is, I've got a couple of conversions of these for this, but I thought I wanted at least one real one. Not for any other reason other than it was made to order, so it wasn't going to be in for long. The Late Time Captains, I'm considering trying to play through the new scenarios. I think I need them, and that's the same for the Warriors of Dale. So that's why I picked those up. I probably will end up proxying quite a lot for any videos I make. I would really like to play through the campaign with Angela. We'll see how that goes, and I'll look at the book and see what I need. But yeah, that arrived, and yeah, just blows me away how expensive this hobby is getting, particularly if you're into Middle-earth and you want to play with official models. It's just beyond belief. Time really is flying, and I finished. As I said, I had 2 of these that I printed. I printed them twice by accident. I finished the first one. I'm very, very happy with how that looks. I've made some progress on the second version. I'm not happy at all, so I'm not going to rush and force it. I've had a lot of fun painting this in just all in pale, very pale blues and greens, and I'm really pleased with how it came out, and the filigree and the gold and what have you. So very happy with that. So that's May's. So now, here is June. So this is when I'm going to paint up this month. So yeah, let's see how that goes. Really, really enjoying this challenge. It's wonderful to be doing something a little bit different when we're doing these busts. They are so good. They're from Printamancer. So if you want to get them, you can find them on my mini factory and go and download them and print them yourselves. He's a fantastic sculptor. He's done a lot of awesome things, and you'll see me printing and painting more of his, I'm sure, over time. But yeah, so there's May. This is June. This is very nearly finished now. Just need to do this dry brushing, do the flock, and I'm done. So what I've got here is I've got a dark grey, which I'm going to come along, and it's going to be quite a heavy dry brush of the dark grey over everywhere where I painted black before. So that's going to dry much lighter than it looks now. So if you're doing this, don't go mad and think, oh, it's not very grey, because trust me, it will be in 2 minutes after it's finished going off. So I'll just do that, and then once that's dried, I'll come in with a lighter grey, which I won't film because I've done hundreds of times, just a lighter grey, and then you can also come in with a white if you want, which I probably will do. And each one of those you want to apply lighter than the previous one, and that will then look nice. So once I've done that, I'm going to do the flocking. Then I'm going to cut it out, and then I'm going to repeat this process on the outer bank. But I'm going to do all the flocking, everything. I've decided to leave it all clamped so that I do all of the wet stuff before I take it off the clamp. So yeah, I'll get that dry brushed, and I'll bring it back for the flocking, which is the next step. Right, so it's time for flocking. I'm going to make use of shop bought flock. I do have lots of my own homemade stuff, but I'm trying to use this up. So I've got 2 colours. I've got a light dark one there and a light one here, and I'll use both of those. And I'll just show you quickly how I go about doing this, and then do most of it off camera because we're a bit samey. So what we do is we get my terrain glue, which is merely watered down PVA with some dish soap or washing up liquid in it to prevent it from going mouldy and also act as a flow enhancer. And I slap it on. Now I'm not too worried about being fully accurate and covering every single millimetre of the dirt, because having a little bit of patchiness is a nice touch. I'm going to leave the path because I will do something a bit funkier with that. So we'll slap the glue on I'll stop there and do the rest off camera because I'll be cutting across in front. Then what we do is I basically do this by hand. I don't use an applicator or anything. I just take a pinch and I start off always with the darker flock. Now I often go for 3 different colours or 3 different shades of green when I'm flocking, but for this I'm just going to use 2. Technique's the same. You start with dark, then you add the lighter one, and then if you're doing 3 you add the lightest one, and then you come back at the end and apply the dark one to tie it all together. It's like a good rug. Got to tie it all together, tie the room together. So here's the light one, so I'll scatter that in. You can see that just brings a nice highlight. I like using a pinch because it means that you can really randomize it. It's very hard to do it evenly, and you don't want it even because nature is not even. So if you want it to look nice, be as random as you can. So there we are, we've got ourselves some nice light, and then I'll come along and just touch up a little bit to blend it together with the dark, and that's it. So I'll do this across the rest of the banks, and then when that's dried I'll come along and I'll paint over the top with the PVA again, and I will record that because I think sometimes people are a little bit shy of putting PVA on because they're worried that it'll ruin it, and I absolutely slap the PVA over the top and that keeps it very, very hard wearing. It never falls off. So I will turn the camera back on, but that will be tomorrow because I'll finish this, let it dry overnight, and then tomorrow we'll put another coat of PVA on top. So yeah, getting close to finishing this now. Well, after lots of sickness and busyness and then sickness and then busyness, finally done the final step, which is getting this level. And actually there's a fly in there. That's not good. Let's get that fly out. I don't want you in there. Come on out, little moth. Yeah, so I finally managed to do that. It's leveling the super pinder, which is this thing here, making sure that the axis is actually the beams are flat. So the next thing to do is going to be a test and start a print. So I'm not going to do that now, it's late and I'm really, really tired. But I'm going to try and get that done in the next couple of days because I really want to get this printing. I'd love to see it going, and I want to start printing some stuff for Rosie mainly. So yeah, so I've finished the instructions for actually constructing, which means I can eat the final jelly beans or jelly babies. So let's grab them. Oh, one on the floor and down. Ah dear, that wasn't on the floor for very long. So sorry for the rattling, the crackling, but I have these jelly babies here to eat. So I might save 1 or 2 for Rosie because I'm nice, but I'm going to have a couple now. But they're the last of the jelly beans. It's built. Next up we're going to do a test print, and I will of course bring you along when I get to that. So here we are down at the painting desk. You can see that I have primed all of these. What I'm going to do this evening is I'm going to paint skin tone. So I will show you how I go about doing that on one miniature, then paint all the rest off camera, and I'll bring you back for each of the different stages, just very quickly show you how I do it. Now I want to highlight that I'm no awesome painter, I just do good enough for tabletop. So please don't think that I'm telling you that this is necessarily a superb way of painting. It's just what I do and what I find good, and what I find that actually allows me to get things to the table in with nice and colours and looking pretty good on the table. I'm pretty happy with my style. So yeah, but don't think I'm claiming to be anything I'm not, because I just am a tabletop standard painter. So yeah, so I'll pick one of these, I'll get my paints ready, and then I'll show you how I paint it. And I hope that the footage is good, because it's pretty hard painting when you're filming. Okay, so here we are. I have a wet palette. This is one thing I would really recommend, no matter what quality of painter you are. A wet palette will really revolutionise your results. I know you can make your own. I have made my own, but I really prefer these. This is the Everlasting wet palette from Regress Games, and yeah, really, really good. I've got the new version on its way. I did back that. So what I've got here, this is the paint that I use for starting every skin, and as I say, I'm very, very basic painter, so it's pretty good that I use basic skin tone. So there we are, use basic skin tone. So my brushes are now quite old and a bit damaged and battered. I always use a pot of water to clean and wet my brushes. So there's that. Even though I'm on a wet palette, I always have water. So this is where I'm probably going to get in the way, and it's probably going to be quite hard to see what I'm doing because it just is hard to paint in view. So if I zoom in a little bit, let's see what I can do here and see if I can get this to stay in focus. Right, so hopefully that's going to stay in focus. What I do is I have a little bit of paint, and for this dude, he hasn't got very much skin, but I always start with the skin tone because it's at the back generally, isn't it? It's the bottom thing that you're going to do. This is really hard, and I feel like it's out of focus, so huge apologies if it is. Hopefully you're getting the impression. So I just come in here and I put a very thin coat of the basic skin tone wherever there's exposed skin. So with him, I'm wondering if he's got gloves on or whether he's going to have bare hands. And I think he might end up having gloves on. Let me just move my... I've also got movable lights so I can get illumination where I need it, which is also really important. So there we are. That's his face done. That can stay in focus. There we are. That's his face done. So that's all I do. I just come in here with the basic skin tone, and I will do that on all the miniatures, working out where I want to have the skin and just painting all the miniatures like that. So yeah, I mean, it's nothing revolutionary, but it's how I do it. I've finished painting up this scary tree, and I really like it actually. It might need a little bit more paint on it when I've actually finished, but you can see it's got a couple of bodies that are kind of being held in by these bright green creepers. So the plan is to make use of this circle, which I cut out when I was making my Dol Goldur that's not Dol Goldur, Weathertop, apologies. I'm tired, it's late, I should be in bed, but I want to do this. So yeah, so when I did the Weathertop for Battle Games of Middle-earth last month, so go and check that out, it's a great video, I had a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw around the base of the, or not draw around, but just mark roughly around the shape of the stump of the bottom of the tree, like this. Hopefully without knocking it too much. So I've got a rough idea of where I need it to be flat, as it were. And then what I'm going to do is get a hot wire cutter, and I'm going to hack away at the rest of the circle, and I'm going to bring it down so it's smooth, so not smooth, so it rises up from maybe a couple of mil at the front or around the edge, and it's a little bit more of a kind of hillock rather than being a platform, because I don't want it to be a platform. So I will grab my hotwire cutter and put some music on and do the hacking, and I'll show you what it looks like. I have, unusually for me, spray primed this with some grey primer, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to paint it up. I don't often spray prime, but this I've just been too busy to hand paint, and it's worked out actually okay. You can see how nicely the filler is working. It will really paint up nicely when I come to do some dry brushing and what have you, but that's given us a good kind of starter for 10. I'm going to make use of non-hobby paints to paint most of this. I will probably use hobby paints to pick out the steel and the trees, but I'm going to use non-hobby paints for the majority of it. So we're going to go for some like reddy browns, and we're going to then dull it down or what have you. So I will get my paints together. I probably won't start that right now, but I will get my paints together and show you how I'm going to go about doing that with non-hobby paints and getting a really nice result, hopefully. Alright, so it's been overnight and a little bit of the morning, just grabbing a little bit of time. A brief break during work, and what I'm going to do is going to come along and seal this. And what I wanted to really do is show you just how much I paint on. I am not shy in sealing flock, because if you don't do this, then the flock will eventually fall off and you'll end up with flock everywhere, and I hate that. I really hate how dirty and messy and annoying it is. And also, you're putting a lot of effort into making your terrain look nice, so why not try to mean that it stays looking nice? The one other thing that I'm going to do as well at the same time is the varnish didn't destroy, fortunately, the underneath the foam, but it also hasn't made it as shiny as I want it to. So what I'm going to do as an extra step is I'm going to paint PVA, as you've just seen, over the top of the rivers. I might do a couple of coats. I'll let you know how many coats I get to, and then I'll do then I will again paint some yacht varnish on to give it a shine. So yeah, there we are. I'll get this done, and as I say, I'll let you know what happens with the yacht varnish. But the next time you see this, we'll be cutting it out and finishing off the edges, and then it's done pretty much. Well, it's not, because I need to do the roof. Obviously, it's not weathered, but the actual surround is done. So then it will just be a case of doing the final bits and pieces and then wrapping this whole project up. So let's get this done, and I'll be back shortly. Alright, so that cut out really nicely. I was really quite pleased with how it looked. I did a little dip here, which will go underneath the extended root which had the arch in it, so I can have a little bit of fun there. So the next step, and I've been umming and ahhing just for a little bit about this, is I'm going to actually paint this black. Just undercoat it. This isn't going to give it any strength, obviously, because this is merely black house paint. However, it will mean that the white won't show through anymore, and I can then build up from this using grout and sand and whatever other texture I want to. And if I decide I'm going to stick the tree on before I do the texture, which I probably will, it means that I will be able to get that done without worrying about there being any white showing through near the tree. So anyway, slap this paint on, let it dry, do a second coat, let that dry, and then I'll come back to you with the next step when I get to it. So I do think I am going to have to do 2 coats. I finished painting up Gwaihir. Quite pleased with that. Looks really good. Wasn't that hard to paint actually in the end. What I'm going to do now is just add a little bit of colour to the base. So I have some tufts from Serious Play. I've got these light yellow ones, and I'm also considering putting a little bit of colour in. I'm not totally sure which. So I'll show you how I'm going to put these down in terms of just this tuft here, because I haven't decided other ones, and then maybe put a few more on after. But we'll see, and then that'll be finished. Need to paint the rim, just tidy the rim up, and then that'll be done. But I do that right at the very end. So what I've got here is a little dab of PVA on a plate, because I don't ever rely purely on the self-adhesive. Good as it is, it's really not 100% good enough to hold something in place. And I'm going to put this tuft kind of in here. There we go. So double PVA, drop the tuft in, and it's done. And then I'm going to get one of the browner tufts, and I'm going to put that one in as well somewhere else. So a bit of PVA. This one's a bit harder to hold because it's smaller. I dropped it, I knew I was going to do that. What I should be doing is using tweezers to hold these rather than my fingers. And you've just seen the reason why you should use tweezers. So there we are, take that as a learning curve. So there's a couple of tufts in. Hopefully that one will stick. Like I say, I might put a different colour one on as well, but ultimately that's pretty much done. I will paint the rim, and then that can go on the shelf and ready to be played with. I have got a cool idea for what I'm going to do with my other Gwaihir, but you'll have to wait and see for that. Oh, I'm back at the lake, and what I'm doing is getting ready to pour another batch of resin. But I've got these reverse mermaids which I have painted up, and I'm going to put just along this ridge. I have that one there, who is kind of bending backwards. I have one that's just out of shot, which you'll see when I'm doing the pour, who is bending forwards. And then I'm going to need to go and get a bradawl, because I just forgot to pick it up just now. And I will need a bradawl to secure this one, because that one's actually got a little kind of notch to go into the base to keep her secure. So I'm going to need a bradawl to go and knock a hole in. So let me go and grab that, get these glued in place. One other thing that I'm going to be gluing is I have the other dry frog, which is going to be put on in this next pour. But yeah, very, very happy. Just came in and dusted it again. And now I'm going to try and actually finish the resin pour. I've got lots and lots of resin, so hopefully I can finish it. But yeah, get these in. Another pour. Think about some more greenery as I'm going up the bank. But yeah, we're getting there now. Let's get these glued in, and then I'll bring you back when I do the pour. Next up, we're going to do leather. So now I'm going to do two colours, two different leathers. I've got leather brown here, and the other leather I really like using is red leather. And because we've got two different things I want to do in leather colour, that's why I'm doing two different types of leather, because I want to get the differentiation. So if you have a look at this dude here, you can see that he's got a little kind of pouch and he's got trousers. Now I'm going to do the pouch and the strap and the belt in normal leather, and then I'm going to do the normal trousers in red leather. So that's why I've got two colours, and I'll probably do the same sort of thing on other miniatures. But I'm going to do the leather for the pouch and the belt and what have you first, mainly because if I make any mistakes, I'm going to be able to go over the red leather pretty easily with the normal leather. Now I'm doing this without goggles because I want to show you how I do it without goggles. However, if you have goggles, you'll be better off putting them on, because this is quite small, and they make a big difference to how easy it is to paint small miniatures like this. And if you're not sure what I mean by goggles, I have them here. You can see them. They're like magnifying glasses that you put on your eyes. So I will now put them on and show you. There we are. My head's grown. So you can pull them down. Make sure I get the camera in shot. We can pull them down over your eyes, so you can basically look underneath them to get the paint on your brush, and then through them to focus on the miniature. And it really does make it so much easier to get a better result, or alternatively see yourself getting a bad result. So yeah, I don't recommend many tools. Good brushes is the best thing if you want to get a good result, get good paints with good brushes, and I highly recommend the Vallejo brushes. But if you're looking at adding something else, then a wet palette and some goggles like these, and honestly, that's it. You don't need painting handles. I've got several. I never use them. Spent lots of money on some of them. Never use them. I just use tongue depressors, as you can see. Anyway, there we are. That's enough nattering. So I'm going to get the leather done, both the normal leather and the red leather, and then I'll bring you back for the next step shortly. But yeah, hopefully this is inspiring you. You see how simple it is. Not, I don't need to be very skilled, which is good because I'm not. Hopefully this is helping. Well, here we are again. After many months, I'm about to start to pour some more resin on the lake. I'm using a different product because The water clear is no longer for sale, so this is clear cast, but hopefully it'll be just as good. This is only the first pour I'm going to do today. I'm going to try and get a good centimetre or two coverage over the entire lake. It should dry in half an hour, so I might even be able to get another pour tonight. But yeah, that's all that done. So I'm going to need to mix some more and pour again. So I won't run the camera the whole lot, but I'll bring you back when I've finished doing the pour and when I've looked at what it looks like. I'm going to need to mix probably 4 jugs, I think, to do what I want to do. I really hope I've got enough resin now. I've spent so much money on this. There we are, I did 4 pours of 750 ml each, roughly. And yeah, so actually more than that, no, 850 ml each. So 4 times 850 ml has gone on it. This new material is slightly less bubbly, which is quite nice. So yeah, it's gone on really clear. I haven't actually had to really do any of the flamethrower yet, though I might do a little bit. I've seen some here. But that's perfect. If we don't have to do very much flamethrower, it is very quick to do the flamethrower, obviously, as you can see. But that's a lot of a better pouring resin. So the next thing to do, that's all the bubbling I need to clear. The next thing to do is, if I just shift the camera very slightly, what you'll see here, this is where the stream is going to come in. So this area here is the road, and then this is going to be a stream which is going to be going into the lake. So the lake water needs to get up to here, so I've got a hell of a lot more to pour, at least up to here. And what I'd like to do is have a little bit more life in this area. I think I'm going to put some weeds, and I've got a few more fish still painted, and I'm going to paint some more fish up and print some more fish out, do some 3D printing. So I want to have, certainly in this area here, or this ridge I think across, I want to have some green and some weeds and maybe some static grass even, and then I probably want to put some stones and what have you out of shot right now, but I'm not going to focus on that. So the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to get weeds like this and stick them in place. And then I've got 4 fish which I'm going to put in this area here, which will be swimming around where the stream comes in. So I'll put some of them quite high up, maybe attach them to the weeds, so that's what will support them. But I will run the camera when I'm doing that, so I could talk through what I'm doing. But I'll just gather my materials together, and then I'll be back. It's really nice to be back to this project. It has been absolutely months since the last pour. Move the camera a little bit just to get a little bit of a better angle. Shift some of this stuff out of the way. So as I say, what my plan is to populate this part here, and I've got these are all just fake plants from local hardware centre. And what I will do is, and I'm probably not going to run the camera for the entirety of this because it will get very samey, but I'll show you some of the process. So what I do is I'll cut these up. So there's a bit, which is quite good. A bit that's quite good. So just cut these up into little sections. The longer ones I might keep because I might put them somewhere else. I don't want them to be too long in this area. So there we are. We've got some nice length there, and this one here is going to have a pike swimming through it. So make sure I've got a pike the right way up, and then the pike can be super glued in place there. So let me just grab my super glue. There we are, prepared now. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to glue the pike kind of swimming through this weed. So we'll set it in. I had it right before, no, I can't do it again. Always the way. There we are, we'll set him in. Make sure he's not upside down. He is upside down. Come on, get it right, there we are. So now he's not upside down. This is epic footage. There we are. So he's kind of swimming in there. And what I'll do is I will put some super glue, which I'll have to do off shot, apologies. Not really thought this through very well, have I? So a little dab of super glue in, and that will hold that in place. There we are. So now we've got a little fish swimming in the weeds, and to make it so you can see it, I will stick this down looking at me. So that's the only fish I'm going to do for now, because I want to get this stuck in place. So we've got some pieces of greenery that we're going to stick down, and the way that I stick these down is using clear silicone, or no, it's not silicone actually, it's silicone, the stuff that you use to seal bathrooms. So I will run, if it'll come out, I need a new glue gun for this really. So I'll run a bead like that, remember to release it, and then our dude swimming can be pressed in like that, and that stays upright. And when the resin's poured, you won't be able to see the silicone at all, and this will just be a nice little reed bed with some of it maybe even poking slightly above the level of the resin. So there we are. So we can probably put a few more, and what I'm going to do here is, I didn't cut this down, I'm actually going to snip off some of the longer pieces individually, like that, and hopefully they won't go into the resin. It's still wet because I've only just poured it. So let's just snip a few of those off. There we are. So we've got some of those, and these I'm going to stick in individually like this. And you can build up quite a nice forest or area of long grass, or whatever you want to call it, weeds, by doing this with a little bit of patience, a little bit of care, and that's how I do it. So yeah, so I am going to continue working on this patch. Like I say, I pretty much want to fill, I thought that'd be a bit more upright. Yeah, I pretty much want to fill this whole area. So I'm going to keep working on that, and I will bring you back to show what it looks like when I've finished. Well, there we are. I think that's going to work really, really nicely. I've put 3 fish, not 4 in so far, but I've also actually, it's not very easy to see on the shot, but I've also actually put a spear in there as well, just to add a little bit of interest. So yeah, so I'll let that go off, wait for the resin to go off that I just poured, and then mix up and pour some more. I'm just going to pour and pour and pour. I'm going to try and do 2 a day. So 1 in the morning, 1 at night. Obviously it's afternoon, well not obviously, you don't know, but it is afternoon, so I don't know if I'll get another one in tonight, but I'd like to. But at least I've got that little kind of like reed bed that I wanted at the base of the stream. I'm going to think about how I'm going to do the other side, and I'll bring it on when I get to that. But yeah, a little bit of progress, very, very cool. Okay, so it's time to stick the tree down to this base. I'm going to make use of my favourite glue, my Moment Fix Extreme. So put a dollop on the bottom. Don't have to do too much, because I will be using other techniques as well to make this more secure. And then get the stringy bit of it, and then carefully place it down how I want it to be, like that, and then press. There we are. Cool. So I will let that go off, and then when it's gone off, we'll come along and we'll put the rest of the texture on. Making a good little bit of progress on this now. Well, here we are again. A very underwhelming update. So you can see there's a little bit here. They're not dead, but they're not growing very fast. Maybe not helped by the fact that Xena loves standing up here and looking out the window. That's her little spot. Say hello, Xena. The largest one is still, yeah, I mean, it's not terrible, it's not dead. and there's some in here as well. So they are all still alive, but they're not thriving quite how I expected them to. But I'm keeping them alive, so I'll keep growing, keep trying, and keep updating so that you can see how this works. I had another delivery just today actually. This is my Forgeworld order. And my habit is to place large orders very regularly with Forgeworld because they're so expensive. So there's quite a lot in this box. So let's have a quick look, see what I've got. And you can probably tell when the last time I ordered with the oldest model on here. So we've got King Brand and Bard II of Dale. We have Raza and Delgamar. We have the Dale Commanders. We have Rutabi and Brogir, Heroes of Run. It's a really good Easterling pack, this, and I'm an Easterling player, so I'm happy about that. But this is more for Angela. She loves Dwarves, King Dane Ironfoot and Thorin III Stonehelm. We have some Knights of Dale. We have Eastern Dragon Cult Acolytes. We have Easterling Black Dragon Warriors, 2 packs I believe, should have. Or maybe there's 6 in there. If there's 6 in there I'll be happy, if there's not I won't be happy. We have Dale Windlance, which is cool. We have Quick Beam the Ent. Now this is the oldest one. This is the one that came out just after the last order I played, and probably actually will be the first one I'll build out of all of this, because then I'll have all of the Ents. And then finally the Dragon Emperor of Run, which I'm very, very excited about. So there we are. It was a rather substantial order. Yeah, rather substantial, but a lot of cool stuff there, and a lot of stuff I'm very excited about painting up, and a far more exciting delivery than that than the Games Workshop one, which arrived and I went, was that all? This actually feels like there's a really load of cool stuff in there, and it's going to be a lot of fun to paint, and I'll obviously bring that to the channel when I do. So there we are. I'm now going to be building up another batch of stuff I want, and placing another order with Forgeworld at some point in the random future. I'm not sure when, but not soon. So what I decided to do at this area here is make use of this stuff, which is actually, I believe, used in plastering to rough up the plaster if you want to add another layer potentially. So it's a hardware item. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a mat of it pulled apart just in this area here. So I'm going to glue it down using the clear sealant again, big glob of it there. And then I'm going to do another pour now as well. I haven't managed to do 2 pours today. This was my first pour of the day. Angela's away, having a wonderful art weekend, which is really cool. So I'm having the joy, and I mean it, it's been wonderful, really good day, of looking after Rosie on my own. But that does mean that I am slightly more, slightly less able to get away and do these things. But trust me, I'd rather be playing with her. And I'm very, very happy. I've had a really nice day with her. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I've got this, so I'm just going to pull it to pieces a bit and stick it in place like this. The pour will not reach this, but I just wanted to get this done first before doing the next pour, in case any of it flew off and then it gets stuck where I don't want it, and that would be annoying, wouldn't it? So we're just going to make it so it's not got too many straight edges, because there are not very many straight edges in nature. Just like that. It's going to look like a mat underneath the water, which is quite cool. I think that's quite a nice little effect. So yeah, then I'll do the pour. I won't film that. It's going to be the same thing. Went off not quite as quick as I expected. It wasn't 30 minutes, I can tell you that much. But it's nice and hard now and ready for another layer. So I'll get that done as well, and then keep you informed on progress. Getting all this water done. It's very, very cool. I'm grinning away to myself while I'm recording and doing this work. It's very awesome to be getting back onto this after all this time. So yeah, there we are. One more bit. Okay, 2 more bits. Oh, 3 more bits. There we are. Right, so that will stay there. That will all go off, and when the resin comes up, that'll be nice and near the top. I've got one last fish, and what I'm going to do is put that fish on the top of this reed bed, so it's nice and obvious and near, and then we'll be very much nearly done with all of the underneath. I think there we are. That'll dry with the super glue. I think we're nearly done with all of the under the water stuff then. So yeah, I'm going to get a pour done. We'll probably do another 3 or 4 750 mils. See where that gets me to, and I'll film again once I've done the pour, show you how much there is. But just so that we remember, it is not quite up to this particular, not that you can see, the reverse mermaid. Just this reverse mermaid here, it's just up to the top of her shoes. So let's see how much higher it goes. Well, in the end, I poured all of the remaining resin from the first bottom of the new batch. So that's 7.5 kilograms I've poured on yesterday and today, and it has barely tickled it. I'm actually really hoping I've got enough. But anyway, what you can see is that it has gone up enough. Here is the reverse mermaid to go halfway up her thighs. So her calves, so not her thighs, her calves. So we've got a long way to go, long way to go. So hopefully I've got enough resin. But yeah, I'll let that go off overnight and do another pour tomorrow. Keep you informed on how it's going. I am thinking about maybe a little bit more done on that bank, just because it's a little bit sparse at the moment. So I might do a little bit more of the sandy gravel type thing. Not sure. I'm going to think about it, sleep on it. And I'm also going to start planning out how I'm going to do the rest of the terrain. So I know there's going to be some grass, there's going to be some trees. You can see I've got those trees, there's a few trees there ready to go on, and I've got a few more of the same style ready to go on, made many years ago. But yeah, onwards and onwards, and that's 7.5 kilograms done. I've got 15 kilograms, yeah, I've got quite a lot more. I've got 15 kilograms to go yet, and then I've got another massive pot, which is going to be 40 kilograms or something like that. So yeah, 30 kilograms. We should be okay. But let's see. This is using a lot of resin. Well, there we are. As I say, quite a busy week. Lots of different projects going on. Really good to get a couple finished. The Gwaihir's finished, obviously. Managed to get the rim painted. I'll probably do a quick clip on that for next week. I'm actually doing this on Saturday night because, Angela is away for the weekend and the early part of next week. And I'm having a wonderful weekend looking after Rosie. It's really good fun. But I'm getting less hobby time for the next few days. So yeah, just trying to get this done now so I can get it uploaded and published for tomorrow so I don't miss my Sunday slot. So I'm actually got a little bit more hobby time this week, but I just need to get this recorded so I can publish it. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, wow, what can I say? Thank you so very much. I really do appreciate it. Do let me know in the comments below. Do get involved, ask some questions. I do really like to read all your comments and reply to them. Don't be shy. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll wrap up by saying, as I do currently, thoughts go out to anyone who is either directly or indirectly impacted or affected by the war in Ukraine, horrendous as it is. Thoughts go out to you. And as always, please do stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.